biggest thing was, as a fire use manager, I knew what my role was. I was the IC of a long-term event, and as the SOPL, I came in. I'm now working for the plans chief, and a completely new role for the position. And so it really took a while to understand how it integrated with the team. And I don't think last year I would have succeeded like we did this year with that position. It had taken a while to understand my role as the SOPL is to be gazing into the crystal ball, basically being looking for where we're going to fail and where we're going to have problems, and try to develop a plan that hopefully we never have to implement, but at least addresses when the fire does this, we are ready to do something. And it's developing those management action points. We want to make sure that they're prepared in a manner that they are well thought out so that you aren't reacting. You're proactive to the fire behavior. You already know that when the fire reaches this point or does this, or we reach a date, you already have a plan that you're going to implement, and so that you can stay in front of the fire and be ready for the next what if. I don't think it's I said it is failure, but it's more where we weren't able to reach a point with our operations. We weren't able to get a line put in, or the fire breached our containment line before we were ready for it. And so it's just having that plan ready for your next step. It's more managing the unexpected and being preoccupied with failure. But I came to this realization working there on the Bitterroot, when we're protecting places, that fires, a lot of times people will try to put a line around a structure or a circle around a value at risk and say when the fire gets to this point we're going to do this. But a lot of times they make that circle too close, and so you're reacting to what the fire does instead of putting your line in the sand well thought out and in front of that, so that you can be ready to implement when the incident triggers that spot. In some respects, they're contingency plans, but in other respects, it's just the next step in your planning period. By looking 48 to 72 hours out in advance of what the fire is going to be doing, you can be helping ops because they can be focused more on today and next 24 hours burning periods and what they're going to do, and you can see what's happening and where they're being successful, and then focus on where there might be a little bit of hole in the dam. But I was at the 1400 operational planning meeting and provided input to that, and then I was part of the 1800 planning period where both the LTAN and the SOPL were able to give our crystal ball look of 48 to 72 hours out in the future, so that then operations knew that if they had to be thinking about what was going to happen, and I could then pre-feed him. If we needed to do any resource ordering, I'd have a resource order pretty much pre-built if we needed to bring new resources into the incident, or let them know that we could move some resources from a less important division over to where we anticipate the need to be. So important about the SOPL position and your development of management action points is to be able to recognize the fire movement and how the fire behaves, and to know today the dog's got the bone and you aren't going to take that bone away from the dog, but tomorrow we can recognize and we can see that there's going to be places we can work on that fire and really do a lot of good and save a lot of resources, do a lot less impact to the ground. You have to keep a real close pulse on what all your fires are doing, and recognizing that if we get a certain wind event, some fires might become a problem, and so you need to be able to work with your forest FMO and operations folks there to let them know that we're going to need some resources well in advance. And if you have those plans built, it's just a matter of pulling the paperwork out and hopefully you can get the resources when you need them. Without the operations background, I think you would have a lot harder time being credible with your operations groups and the other FMOs. If you have a good, strong operations background, you can bring that side into it and say, we're not always just watching a fire and letting it meander around the woods, but you need to know when to take action on portions of it or the whole thing. And managing fire appropriately, even though that's old terms, is you still need to suppress the fire and put it out when it needs to be, where it needs to be put to bed. Always looking forward into the future and recognizing that you need to be proactive with your fire. And if you can see that the fire is going to start breaching a management action point, don't wait for it to happen. Be proactive and take advantage of the time you have. And the decision triangle, the more time and space you have before the event happens is to your advantage. So if you have to do structure protection, have all the structure protection material in place and ready to go. And if you think it's going to be needed, go ahead and take the time and do the structure protection properly and timely.